that and try and understand and manipulate a situation. No, you're the one with dementia, mate. I'm not the one with just foggy brain right now. Yeah, it's not just foggy brain. You've got something more going on. So let's not do this. So my mouth has very snappy, and I will tell people where to go, how to get there, when to do it, how quickly to do it, and I'll buy you a ticket.
I love it, because isn't that the freedom that you now find that when I can't speak for everybody else, but this is something that I am now getting to. It's like all of a sudden I'm like, where was that before? Where was it that I cared so much of not talking about hurting somebody's feelings, but I had to look back and think, I can't make myself unhappy anymore. I'm making myself unhappy. So I'm now, this is taking off. So I'm wearing half a mask. I'm wearing half of this mask. I want to be 18 again. And the other half is saying, girl, you're going into 15, you're getting menopausal, get with the grip. Now, I'm going to say this because I know there's other women that, the reason why some women don't speak about it, but this is my truth. I didn't understand it. I just associated it with getting old. I don't want to be, I don't want to have weight. I don't know, it's like I need to stay at that size 12. And how dare nature do this to me? The things I ask myself is, how did I not see this coming? How did I not know this was coming? And what I had to do, I literally took photos out. And I'm speaking quite different from you lot. I took photos out and start charting back to 2016, 2015 and looking and going, did my bum grow then? And then I started looking, but I still had flat boobies. And then I'm like, but how come I, wait, that's how bad it started to get. It's starting to get, because I'm now looking at when the changes started. But I just thought, hey, it's just.
But Valerie, what changes? If there wasn't a chart, if there wasn't any kind of text or information that said, this is what's going to happen to you when you hit menopause or premenopause, then we wouldn't become hyper-conscious and hypercritical, start charting everything, looking for every little thing. I had a client, and this is when I tried to tell her the power of the medical society's words. They're spellbounding. They told her that she had sickle cell. So she came to me for sickle cell. And I suspected that she didn't have sickle cell, because you don't catch sickle cell like that.
No, you're born with it. That's absolutely
So I said to her, it doesn't sound right. I said, maybe you need to go and get another blood test. Anyway, she didn't trust the doctor, so she paid £200, had a private blood test. It came back, she did not have any sickle cell at all, and she absolutely believed she did. Plus they said something about HIV. When she had the private blood test done, none of those things came up. So sometimes the medical doctors, they can say stuff to you. Like, I've got a lady who's lost her breast. She had her breast taken off. It was cut off, and the words that the doctors had said to her, that we think it's spread into the liver, but we're not really sure. Then if you're not really sure, then why not say anything to her? Because she's carrying that around in her head now, that, oh, it's gone into the liver, I'm going to get worse. But they're not sure, but we think it has, but we're not sure. The medical doctors, their words are very spellbounding, because they're very powerful. People take them like they're almost gods. So if there wasn't this checklist, we wouldn't have to be tracing all of these things that, oh, I've got this, or I've got that. And then we start criticizing ourselves. Now, the reason why when we get to this side of life, why we can be the way we are and more relaxed in how we are, is because we're no longer under society's gaze. They're only interested in us from when we are teenagers till maybe when we come to our, late 30s, maybe late 30s. Other than that, you're over the hill. So they don't really care what we do, or we don't care, or we get to that point of not caring of what they think now, because, you're over the hill now. So you're more relaxed in your body. Well, I am. I'm more relaxed in my body. I don't wear underwire bras no more. They're damaging. So I let my breasts hang where they may. They feel very comfortable here. I wear a little, the little loose bras with no wire underneath. And I've never felt so comfortable in all my life. They just hang where they are. They feel great. I don't have the pull, you know, the tightness here, the tightness under here, and the wire in itself. When we did a module on the lymphatic system, so the wire in the underwire bra, when it presses up against your under your breast, you've got a whole row of lymphatic nodules that live under there. So when it presses against it, it cuts off your lymphatic system. And then I found that it's particularly dangerous. So you come to this side, you know, you feel a bit freer.
Yeah.
You feel a bit more free in yourself. You feel more relaxed in yourself. And you're a little bit like, well, I don't give a damn now. So just like you said, Leisha, it's like, well, what the hell? And you're a bit more vocal.
And not only that, I've actually, last year when I was really going through the hot flush situation, especially during the summertime, I just didn't know what it was. I didn't know whether it was the sun that was making me warm or whatever, but I'd be on a Zoom call or I'd be on something, and I'd explain to some of the women on there especially, like, forgive me if my camera flicks off, it's not intentional. It's not because I don't want to be part of it. It's because in that moment I have to take everything off. If I could take off my skin, if I could take off my eyelashes, if I could take off my lips, I would take everything off and go and put it in the fridge and then quickly put it in the oven, because I go from 95 degrees to -4, and then I'm shriveling like this, and then I'm like, okay, because the clothes are wet now, so I'm cold, I've got to take them off, let's wipe the body down, so people don't and then in between all of that, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot, I needed to go to the toilet. So that's literally how I am. I could be having 4 conversations, I'm on 3 different Zooms, and then panic. So don't ask me to do more than one thing at once right about now, because my brain, literally breathing, blinking, talking is about as much as my body can cope with at once. If you ask me to go across the room and walk at the same time, complete meltdown. Don't ask me to do that right now. So I'm in that space where I'll be talking to people, and all of a sudden in the background they can hear, what's that noise? And I'm trying to hide it underneath the thing so no one can see it. And then not only that, when I'm sitting on a Zoom, I'm so glad that you only need to see head and shoulders, because the majority of the time, the rest of the clothes are there's nothing below the waist. Like, there's no... I've had to wear different colour headscarves because I could be sitting here, and then all of a sudden you see this thick patch of sweat just appear across the headscarf, and I'm like, I hope nobody can see that. I hope nobody can see. But I've just got to that stage now. I'm just like, I'm sorry, people. I'm dying. T-shirts coming off, headscarves coming off. If you don't want to see a strip show, go and tune into somebody else. But right now, I'm hot. My body needs air, and that's what I'm giving it. I'm just doing it.
I'll tell you, Leisha, you are brilliant. You just kept it so real, because the worst thing is, I don't know about you guys, I find that I sit there half the time and I'm thinking no one can see me, and I'm doing that.
They can.
And I'm doing that, and then I found one of the things doing the talk show, and you've got this massive big ring of light. I don't know about you guys, but I have like 2 sets of lights so that everything, because I'm in a dark room, and the light highlights the sweat. And so sometimes I'm bending down, I'm talking to someone, I said, oh, bear me a second, and the flannel's down there, and I'm away. And then I have to come back up and produce myself like, yes, oh my God. And I started to become so paranoid about it. And it's only recently I just thought, do you know what? I don't wear makeup, so I'll tell you what, I don't really care. This is it for me. I'm trying to get a message out, whether it be menopause, sickle cell, you name it, whatever. But I'm going to keep wiping. And it's me. And it's just, and stop feeling bad about it, because I can't, apart from put the ice cubes on my face and my head and my armpits, I can't do anything about it. So it's either that or I stop doing these shows because vanity is, does that make sense? Vanity is taken over.
Something really simple. You know that the ring lights have got 3 settings?
Yes.
Right. So what I did that actually stops me from sweating as much or from it showing, you've got the white light, then you've got kind of a softer glow light.
Yeah.
So what I now do is on have you noticed I look slightly, look kind of glowy in here, so it's on a soft glow, and I've got a nice little lamp way over there, so I've kind of moved the heat of the light further away from me, because literally I'm surprised that it took me this long to only have one hot flash. I've got nearly a whole 2 hours without actually breaking out in a sweat. So I'm gonna put it down.
It's embarrassing. I mean, Lauren, I don't know. It really, really is embarrassing. Now, my sister, you know, God, I don't know if she's online or everything like that. And I'm going to ask Lauren if she experienced that. And yes, Linda, you can relate to the sweating. And I promise you, I will put that thing up again, which we did earlier, because I know that the lovely Leisha has to leave us very soon, but you know, so I want to make sure that I get enough out of her and cut, you know, and then continue on, because we, you know, this ain't finishing until I get to the end of what you guys have got to share. But do you know what I mean? But Lauren, I just want to ask you, did you go through all that sweat? You just said you did, and you know, your coping mechanism and the sweating and wringing out the t-shirts and everything else, you know. What else is there, ladies, that you had to comprehend apart from the sweating? Because I know that is the worst. The night sweating.
Yeah, the nighttime stuff was just towel after towel after towel after towel. If I got a day sweat, which didn't happen very often, I mean, I've got the thinnest, finest, straightest hair in the planet. It doesn't take much for it to look like that.
Right.
So one hot sweat. And my hair. And I remember having to go into a board meeting to speak to the CEO of the company I worked for. And it was a really big meeting. And I was presenting something that he did not agree with at all. And I remember being really suddenly, I didn't get hot. I got freezing, shivering cold. So your thermoregulatory system's normally you don't get hot till up there, you don't get cold till down here. And when your estrogen levels and progesterone levels are doing the hokey cokey and not inviting you to the party, the thyroid system gets about that broad. Yeah. So you get hot really quickly and cold really quickly. So I would do things like, I'm big into kayaking. So I'd be on the river with someone in the kayak in front of me, 4 or 5 hours. You think nice and warm, right? 19 degrees, the sun shining, beautiful day, watching the world go by. And we get along, and I start to shake, and the guy in the front of the boat would be like, "Can you stop shaking?" I'm going,
really?
My brain wouldn't communicate with my hands to carry on paddling. So he had to do most of the work to get us back, and then 19 degrees Celsius.
And you're freezing.
I'm freezing. I had hypothermia.
Yeah.
I couldn't get out the boat. He had to go and get help to get two people to hold the kayak, and then physically lift me up and out and put me into my car, get me a hot tea and an emergency blanket. And it took over 3 hours to get my body temperature back up. So I struggled for about 3 or 4 years of just, when I did the Brighton Marathon in 2014, 14 degrees. I've been running for 15 miles. Well, when I say running, jog walking for 15 miles. And I had to go and get a space blanket to do the last 11 miles because I was freezing to death.
So it's a different extreme, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, you know, again, I don't know if Jennifer can relate to that, but, you know, we do have that sweat where you've got the freezing cold, you know, because 1 minute I can have everything on and the next minute I have to just literally throw across the room and I don't get it. You know, it's when you're out and you're in front of people as well. And you just, you know, I think lockdown for people in menopause, lockdown has been brilliant, right? Because you don't have to face anybody. You don't have to have those meetings. You can have that meeting on your Zoom and switch because you can wipe that sweat. But apart from the sweats, I'm going to come back to the food because I said, just quickly before you go, Leisha, I want to talk about loss of libido and the signs of loss of libido. So we've talked about the sweats, the things that can happen, your bladder. I want to just get that before you run out through the door, because apart from that, we haven't, you know, we want to talk about the men, how we need to speak to the men, let them know how we deal with the menopause for people who are in a relationship, or for single people not in a relationship. How are you going to cope? So let's start with that question I just asked. Libido.
Libido.
Loss of libido.
My one has never really changed, really. It doesn't appear to have. However, I have been technically single since 2012. Saw a couple of people between now and then, but I've actually been celibate for nearly 3 years. That wasn't because of the menopause. It was a personal choice. I needed my body to just do its own thing. Yeah, it was just, I didn't want to be invaded by any, that's the word I use, invaded by a man. But what it has enabled me to do, it sounds really weird, I just know myself a lot better, let's just say that. I make sure there's a constant supply of batteries.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
I just don't, I don't suffer with any sort of vaginal dryness or anything like that. It's the right stimulation. Okay, so that's one thing that I when I started watching porn, not something that I'm proud of, but I needed to figure out what stimulated me.
No, but we want to hear that.
Yeah, but that's what got my juices flowing. It wasn't, I'm not going to describe what I was watching because that's too weird. But if, you know, there's porn especially made for women, should we say, which is a little bit different. But yeah, explore the part of your brain that gets turned on and how it gets turned on. Because once you start to figure out what happens up there, the rest of it follows anyway. So I'm a sapiosexual. So if a man stimulates my brain, the rest of it will naturally go. So I worked on that prior anyway. I knew that about myself prior to the menopause. So now that's what I hang on to. If I can find someone who is actually going to stimulate, or something that stimulates the juices up there, then the rest of the juices know what to do.
That's true. And on that note, I know you've got to go, but we're going to continue on that because there's questions that was asked of me, loss of libido, will it come back? And they wanted to, you know, which I'd love, and I know you've got to go, which I'm going to ask.
Do you remember that song by,
what's that?
You know the song by Right Said Fred? I think he was like, I'm too sexy for my shirt.
Yeah.
Or I'm too sexy for, like, literally, that's where I'm at the moment. I'm too sexy for a man to even touch me. That is how sexy I feel that my body is for me. And I want to get to know it before I allow anybody else to touch it again.
Yeah.
So I'm too sexy
on
for
that
men
note,
right now.
everybody, Leisha will be back with me in a couple of weeks to do a one-to-one. She's got to go. Love. Please, everybody, please say any hearts up. Actually, I'm not even looking on.
I'll be in touch with both of you.
Can't.
I've learned so much. I have learned so much. Detoxing.
Oh, that's awesome.
I've found my menopause sisters, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Like, I found a family.
Absolutely. Please, everybody. I know anyone that's in the chat room. I think on the in the. I can't see, I'm not looking on my page, but anyone put some hearts up in the page. Leisha's got to leave us. We're going to continue, but I want to thank you. She will be back with me in a couple of weeks. We're doing a little one-to-one on Instagram, so look out for her talking about natural energy and everything else. Thank you so much. And I have to big up to Rihanna, for actually introducing you to me. And I mean, I knew we were friends, but she highly spoke of you, and it was well worth the conversation. So, you know, ladies, please tell her bye. Lots of hearts up to Leisha. Speak to you soon, my darling.
Thank you for all of those of you who jumped on for after I shared the link as well. So Miss Shugs, Carol, Natasha Vigil, love you all. Thank you so much. And Janetti, who was on at the beginning, thank you so much. And
Absolutely.
We will definitely catch up real soon.
Yes, we definitely will. God bless you. Speak to you later. Okay, we're going to go back into, we were saying, which is loss of libido. People don't, you know, women have realized that they've lost, they're ashamed of themselves. They become emotional. They don't feel sexy anymore. There is no, you know, we will go with the vaginal dryness. You'll find that some women have odors. They start realizing that they have, you know, bacterial vaginosis. Their oxygen levels go down. These are all the things that symptoms towards the libido. Can you offer up any information on that, Lauren, before I come to Jennifer? What have you come across with the women that you've dealt with, and what can you offer to people about that?
I mean, I do a lot of work on lifestyle factors, so there's a lot of crossover with the work that we do, but a big part of what I do is also mindset. And at the end of the day, you do have to get to know yourself. And I partner with companies that do vaginal lubricants, vaginal dryness, sex toys, all sorts of different things. So, you know, I have got a cupboard full of everything that you can possibly imagine.
I hope your 15-year-old son don't look.
Oh, he knows more about this stuff than I do. I mean, we've talked about everything, so I don't think there's anything that I've got that he doesn't know what it is and what it does. So yeah, there's no secrets in this household, that's for sure. But I think, you know, unfortunately I will get a lot of people come to me when they haven't had any sex or they haven't been intimate in any way for a number of years. They've got severe vaginal atrophy and dryness, and actually that's just, it's criminal. It's criminal that women can get to that point. And it terrifies me, because if you think about little old ladies in a home who have been struggling for years and they can't even sit down without being in pain, go to the toilet, or they're leaking and they've got cracked skin. And, you know, when people go into these places, they might talk about what medicines are they're on or what clothes do they wear, but they don't ask about their intimate health. So you've got, you know, and you just sort of think, geez, God forbid that ever happens to anyone that I know. So lubrication, moisturize your face, moisturize down below, using the right lubricants, making sure vaginal moisturizers, vaginal lubricants, using lubrication, whether you're on your own or with a partner, or you're, you know, playing with toys, whatever you're doing. If you're still struggling, or you haven't been intimate for a long time, then, you know, there's lots of different dilators and all sorts of vibrators, you know, from like literally from pinky size, that you can start to explore and start to play with, and just gradually start to move back towards. But it's this as well. It's so important to get in tune with your own body, with you and your partner, to talk if you're in a relationship.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, the other thing is, much as people are anti-HRT, having a local, I mean, I'm speaking as a well-educated lay person, not as a doctor, but there is local estrogen. So things like Vagfem and Estring. So Vagfem is where you can put a little pellet up inside 2 or 3 times a week, depending on your requirements. Unfortunately, you have to use it for keeps, but it does the trick. Or there's a thing called Estring, which is like a little rubber ring that can go up inside. Same localized estrogen, it's not HRT. And then that, you replace that every 3 months. And for lots of women, I mean, I spoke to a woman who was 74, 75 recently, and just started struggling with leakage, started struggling with dryness, you know, had been sexually active all her life until the last year or so, was too embarrassed to go and ask for help. I got the doctor on my team to have a conversation with her and guide her how to have a conversation with her own doctor. She got Vagfem, and within 3 weeks was back to normal.
Oh, really?
So, you know, there's pros and cons for different types of, you know, integrative medicine or functional medicine or traditional medicine. But, you know, I know that I sure as heck wouldn't want to live my life without being able to have that type of pleasure. So I'm really into just sharing what's available and having people make their personal choice about what works for them. But the mind is such a powerful tool. And if you can master your own mindset, then you're a long way down the road.
Jennifer, have you got anything to add on that? Because, as I said, lots of libido can be so many different things, you know, because you have, as I said, you've got the bacterial vaginosis, which after a while you don't want, even if you're single and you want to start dating and you're going to have this going on, you're not going to want to meet anybody. And emotionally, you start to not liking yourself. You lose confidence. You become, you know, emotionally stressed. And I think I've got a couple of things I'm hoping I can see in what order did I put it. So here are the symptoms that you can have, which is the fatigue, the emotional distress, and, you know, become anxious, not feeling sexy. You start to feel ashamed, loss of confidence, and low oxytocin. You know, and a lot of people don't even know what, you know, oxytocin is. You know, what can you shed of all of that I've just put there, Jennifer?
When it comes to loss of libido, let's go to vaginal dryness.
Okay.
So the vagina is a very wet, sort of moist area, and the walls or the lining of the vagina is made up of what we call smooth muscle. And it depends on what you're eating, depends on what you're cooking your foods in. I'm going to talk about the oils. A lot of oils that we fry and cook our foods in, a lot of the oils in the supermarket are rancid. And when you use old rancid oils in your cooking, and you take them inside your body, what happens is, I'm not going to get too technical, but it's a thing called phospholipids inside the body. And so when those rancid oils go inside the body, they have a way of stripping away the smooth muscle.
Yeah.
And they affect the tendons and they affect the ligaments, and they can make them very slack, loose.
Slack, yes,
Yeah.
loose, yes.
And some ladies don't tend to have any feeling because their vaginal canal and the muscles in there can be very slack, and that is down to whether or not they're doing Kegel muscle exercises, pelvic floor exercises, but sometimes it's to do with the foods, and a lot of the times it's to do with the quality of the oils that we are actually taking on board. Now, with the, I had a client who's 46. She hadn't had a period for 18 months. She had an ectopic pregnancy, lost the baby in the tube. I don't think they removed the tube, but she had a lot of scarring. So she had a blocked fallopian tube. So she came to me and told me about this. So what I did, and she also had a lot of vaginal dryness. She couldn't be intimate with her husband. It was just too painful. It was causing tension between her and her husband because he wasn't believing her.
Yeah.
So they were having fights and things like that. So she was my mother's carer, actually. And that's how she found out that I was a herbalist, because some of my clients came to my home to pick up their formulas. She asked me what I do. I told her. So she told me her story. I made her a formula. And she began to feel some warmth in her left side of her body. So I said, well, go and find out what one of your tubes was blocked. It was the left one. Now, wherever heat goes, blood will flow. So immediately she started to get a nice warm feeling there. Then about a few weeks after that, she came back to me and I made her up a blend for vaginal dryness. Within 2 months of taking that, she rang me up excited, telling me that her knickers are wet. Sorry, I got to laugh.
Sorry. Come on, Valerie. We're not in school now. Behave yourself.
We were getting so excited. She was so excited. She said, my knickers are wet.
And that's a big thing. That's a big deal.
Massive for her. So I was like, oh my God, your husband's going to be, you and your husband are going to be great now. So anyway. And then about 3 months after being on that formula, her period came.
Wow.
So now she's going to try for a baby. Whether or not she gets pregnant, we'll have to wait and see. Yeah. So because there's a thing in herbalism that we call that the womb is cold or the womb is dry. So if your womb is cold, no activity is going to happen down there. So you're not going to feel desire. You're not going to connect with that sexual desire because the womb, the vagina, it needs to be warm and moist. I've got a couple of ladies whose womb is dry. It's so dry that they have missing periods. They have periods that go missing for months on end, and then they come back and then they go missing. But there are herbs that you can take that will cause moisture and mucilage in the vagina area, in the womb area, which is where you need it to be. Yeah. So there are herbs that will tighten the womb, tighten the bladder, so you don't have leakage. For those ladies that have leakage, if they cough, they're leaking. There are herbs that can be taken that will tighten up the walls of the womb and the bladder, because the muscle integrity has gone. It's like flabby, it's slack. And that's because of the foods that we're eating, the oils that we're cooking in, the takeaway foods, because they don't always cook their foods in the best oils. They're cooking it in the cheap vegetable oils. And those oils are rancid oils. So, and sometimes they don't even change the oils. Like in a chip shop, they might be using the same oil over and over again, taking those oils into our bodies, and it's messing with the ecology of the body. And for women, that's where we get a lot of those problems.
It's funny you should say that, because, you know, in all the research that I had to do prior to doing this show, and speaking to both, you know, and Alicia, that she's gone, they, you know, no one's covered that. Does that make sense?
Covered
like what you've just said, Lawrence, saying that, you know, there's certain oils. All they're saying is things like, yes, you can have vaginal dryness. And these are symptoms that I'm sure some women will identify, which is you'll have thrush, you'll have cystitis, you'll have, you know, pelvic pain, you'll have the odor and the smells. And then you've got the uncommon side effects, which people are saying that, not people, you know, the medical council would say it's the decrease of the mucus in the vagina because it becomes thin, and the elasticity, as you just said, which is exactly what you were just saying. And these are the things that I picked up. So when you have that the decreasing of the, you know, the estrogen, which is there to keep that muscle all tight, they're asking you to use like certain oil supplements like sea buckthorn oil. And so that's why I'm asking, is that the sort of things that you or Lauren would tell people to use? They've also suggested using things like, I believe that coconut oil is one of the best, the greatest healer. Me personally, if you can get the best coconut oil, it's a great lubricant. But they're saying that you should take things like St. John's worts, which is supposed to be very, very good, because it not only deals with that, it deals with sciatica, it does with the muscles. So it allows you to relax, because if you've got
you wouldn't use St. John's wort for that, because if you're looking to tighten, you don't want St. John's wort. St. John's wort is a nervine and a relaxant. So
that's what I mean. It's the relaxant. It's to relax
you don't want to use that if you want to tighten the vaginal area, or tighten the womb or the bladder, any muscle that you want to tighten. You won't use St. John's wort. So John's wort,
apart from the pelvic floor muscles, what apart from the, you know, the herbs that you would be, if someone had to go to, you know, a homeopath, they're going to offer them something like, as I said, sea buckthorn oil or things like that.
That is good.
Is it really?
But it's not good for everyone. Just because we've all got vaginas, it doesn't mean that all of our vaginas are the same, and sea buckthorn oil is going to be great for all of our vaginas.
Now you answer my question. There you go. Yes.
And that's why this is why it's important to have a consultation. And when people go onto my site, sometimes they'll see how much I charge for a consultation, and they won't bother, because they go, oh, well, I can go to my doctor and talk to my doctor for 10 minutes, and the doctor's not going to ask you much. But when you have a consultation, I've got a consultation. You fill out a form. I go very deep. I need to know your bathroom habits. I need to know what your poo looks like. I need to see your fingers. I need to see your eyes, your tongue, your teeth. I need to look at all those things, because it tells me every part of you gives me a story. Every part of you. So I'm an energetic herbal alchemist, meaning I have to find out what is the energies, the energetics of your tissues, of your body state, your constitution, so I can match you with the right herb. I don't throw out herbs. Oh, use St. John's wort for this and that. No, St. John's wort will relax your that area even more, because it's a relaxant. It's a nervine. It's there to relax you when you're agitated or when you've got anxiety.
So, but then why would they? There's women. So there's these women who are very anxious. They're uptight. They're, you know, these are the women that have been in the same relationship with someone. They don't know how to relate to their man and say, you know, I'm having a bad day. I'm emotional. I don't like myself anymore. You know, I'm not feeling sex, because after going to work all day, or even if you're the one that stays at home, you've probably had 2 or 3 kids or 5 kids. You don't know, but you've got, you know, a high flying job like yourself, Lauren, you know, and yourself, Jack, and you come home and here you are, your partner wants to touch you and you do not want to be touched. You've got to
get into your feminine. The work area is a masculine environment. The how is going to be huge, because women are not conditioned to be in their feminine. They're conditioned to be in their masculine. And when you're at work and you're used to, if you're the boss, say, or if you're in a position of power over men, some women don't know how to trigger that off, turn it off, come home. I say to women, I'm not an expert on this, but what I would do, come home, have a bath, put on clothes is very important. Materials are very important when it comes to the feminine. You want something flowy and something nice and soft. It doesn't have to be low cut. It doesn't have to be sexy. It just has to feel good on your body and change your energy. Because women who come to me, one of my questions is, do you wear trousers all day? They find that a very strange question. Well, if you're in trousers all day and then you come home and then you're still in trousers all day, where that trousers is a masculine energy. And we all have masculine energy and we all have feminine energy, men and women. But you have to know when to trigger from one to the other, especially if you're in a relationship. You're going to have to physically learn how to become feminine, because the feminine energy is not revered. Masculine energy is revered and it's put on a pedestal, and that's the only place that certain men want women to believe. That's the only place you can get respect and power. You've got to be in your masculine, and then it ruins relationships, and it also has an impact on your body, because your body is a female, it's feminine, and we don't know how to relate to our own selves, so we're not going to be able to relate to our partners. They follow our cues. They follow our cues. If we don't know how to be, they're looking at us to learn how to treat us. We don't know how to treat ourselves. We're looking at them. Well, you should treat me better. But they don't know how, because they haven't had a demonstration of how to treat a woman in a certain way. So you're going round and round in circles.
And this is where the next point I was going to come to, because how do you have that conversation with your partner when you're married? Laura, what was you going to say?
You can't. I mean, I think that, point well made. The fact is that we're brought up in society, like nowadays, we're brought up to, well, I was brought up during Maggie Thatcher's years, so it was all for one and one for all, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And, with that in mind, we started, in many ways, we've created a lot for ourselves. We're working longer and later into life. We're holding more senior roles. We're running our own businesses. We're doing lots of great things, but we're doing it with the backdrop of that masculine energy. When we go into an office, an office is a square box that we go into and we fit ourselves into it, and we dress ourselves for it, and we behave in a way that becomes socially acceptable. So we end up like this kind of rigid thing and wonder why we get headaches and sore shoulders and we get aches and pains, and we're out of touch, and then we can't wind down, and then as soon as the holiday's coming up, we get sick for 4 days before we go on holiday because our body is relinquishing it. Right? Yeah. And then by the time the 11th day of the 14 days off work, suddenly we relax and then go back to work.
Yeah.
And so this is where the body doesn't get time. It doesn't get time. And but you've got the partners, so I have to touch on that, because I'm going to show you this. Let me show you this. I'm going to show you, this is what some men think what menopause is. That this is a question that was up to some.
There's 2 different types of menopauses. All I know is that it's the change.
I think it has something to do with the hormones.
Menopause is when you're ovulating? No, that's probably not right.
I think it's when you're stop getting your period.
Menopause is when women of a certain age lose estrogen levels.
When they are no longer, reproductively viable anymore? Is that a word? Or like they're out of eggs?
Did not know there's another part of menopause. Nope. Don't know what that is either.
Well, let's break down the word. What does period? I don't know what period means.
If you had it before like the age of 30, maybe like if you had it at 20 or 15.
Maybe you get menopause a second time? I don't know.
Early stage menopause.
Maybe they're having symptoms of menopause and they're actually not menopausal.
Oh, hot flashes happen during menopause, I thought.
A woman is on her period and she gets too exhausted.
It's like when you just get hot all of a sudden. mean, it's like unbearable.
Oh, well, hot flashes.
Maybe they're moodiness,
Fluctuation of mood,
Dizziness.
lighter periods, I want to say, or maybe less periods.
Weakness in the lower body,
Dry mouth.
anxiety, hunger, decreased bone density, hair loss, lack of appetite. I just watched the documentary, so I know that.
Do you see what men say?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't. That's all they know. But no one. You know, I went online specifically, and I listened. That was the only thing I could pick out of a 2-day research.
Wow.
Of trying to speak to men to ask them what was it like living with a woman with menopause, or do you know what menopause in a woman is? What do you look for? And men, oh my God, look at Lauren showing. And exactly. And men, it's either they don't want to accept what menopause is like the women. If men are having the problem, it's because the women aren't talking about it. And so this is what one man said. They're not telling us. We just know what we've heard women talk about.
Not true.
Well, I'm just telling you my conversations. I'm only giving you, because everyone lives in different ways. Lauren, what was you going to say?
So that pile of paper, I didn't realize I was on mute. That's 150 interviews with men.
I need to see that, because, and again, are they English or were they American?
A combination, and Canadian.
Okay, because in England, I don't know if it's because it's we have the big stiff upper lip in England sort of thing, and it's taboo and this is black and white. This is not a color thing. This is just what happens. Men are not. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have men reaching out to me all the time asking about menopause, asking what it is, how they can help their wives, what they need to do to fix it. I'm going, that's where you're going wrong.
Yeah.
We're not asking you to fix it. We don't want you to fix it. We want you to be there and to listen, right? This is the one time in a man's life where men are from Mars and women are from Venus. We really need you to go in your cave and do your thing while we're sorting ourselves out. When we can peel those onion layers off that we've put on ourselves, we can take off the mask, not half the mask, the whole mask. And we can tap back into ourselves, and we can learn how to talk about this thing and figure out the fact that we are women. Then, I mean, it was the hardest thing for me to do. It was the biggest, hardest lesson. I've been financially independent all my adult life. I have always worked. I've always put a roof over my head. I had no concept of what this femininity thing was. I had no clue. I knew how to get dressed up. I knew how, I could do the hair and the makeup and wear the heels and do all that stuff. But that was putting another mask on. That wasn't me being me. That's taken me the last 7 years to really figure out. But
that's the thing.
Women
wear a mask. We wear this mask because we need the men to still see us as these beautiful, dressed up, no issues women. And we're not doing that. We're not sharing with them and saying, this is how do you know?
Because we don't know how to. But that's the whole point. We don't know how to speak about. We don't understand. So in every survey I've done in the last 7 years, every single survey, between 82 and 96% of women don't know what menopause is, really. And I've got no clue how it's going to impact them.
Yeah.
82 to 96% of women, thousands and thousands and thousands of women that have surveyed.
And that's amazing, because some women think that menopause is, it's just that, you've got to be 50. Did you not hear Amanda say, it's when you're 50, when you're old? But whereas menopause, I've got a video of a woman who was 28 years old, and she was having the hot flushes, and she was telling her mum she's having the hot flushes, and her mum is going, no way. 28. Now, there's nothing wrong with her menstrual cycle or anything like that. But luckily, she was able to mention that to her mother. But when she went to the GP, he was telling her, no, you're not in the menopause. And then as she got to she's 28, she got to 32. That's when they realized she's in menopause. You know, there's another girl who had, she had to have her ovaries removed at the age of 30. So I'm bringing these things up because people have, who are watching this show need to understand menopause is not about getting old. Menopause is estrogen levels drop. You can have low estrogen levels because of lack of, estrogen, lack of vitamin D. There's all these other things. I think I did write it down. The decrease of estrogen, why what you will have. It's not an age thing.
Yeah.
And this is what we want everyone to understand.
Yeah.
Do not sit there and think, oh, I'm 48 years old. I've not got any symptoms and I don't have any hot flushes and I don't, I'm still got a period and my tits haven't grown. Please do not be fooled by that, because when it comes, it will just come. Some people, it comes on suddenly, and there's those that doesn't come at all. There's others, and I can speak from experience speaking to a woman down the road. She lost weight through the menopause. She stressed so much about it that she went from 18 stones to 12 stones in a year.
Wow.
And I thought she was physically ill. And I stopped her and I said, what the hell? Are you not well? And she said, no, I turned 50, menopause came, and I dropped the weight. And I stressed because I couldn't understand what it was. I stopped eating a bit of cake, she said. I stopped a bit of this. She's stick thin. I'm not going to lie, I almost envied her. But you know what I mean? That's terrible of me to be like that. I was like, damn, you need to tell me the secret. And she went, I don't know. I don't know how I've been so big all my life. My children I've had are the same size. I get to 50 and I've dropped. And she said she wasn't sleeping, but, it just dropped off. And she was stressing about what the hell was going on. And the weight went. So there's two different, everyone is different. As you said, Jane, I totally agree with you. It's what I'm saying on this particular program. You need to be mindful of what's going on in your body. And that brings me back to, if we're not going to speak to, okay, I can only, again, this is me taking off my mask, because I tend to wear a mask a lot. I try not to tell a lot about myself because I'm very guarded. But for me to have this program and wear a t-shirt and say, stand in your truth, I have to be honest with myself, because, what's the point of doing this if I'm not going to? For the first time, I turned around and said to this guy that I'm seeing, I kept putting him off. And when I mean put him off, he still kept coming back. I put him off. And for the first time of any form of being together for God knows how long, I now didn't want to take my clothes off, because I've grown a muffin top and my boobies have just got a bit bigger and I can't figure it out. And I'm on this diet and it's still not working. What's going on? Because I'm not accepting.
So Valerie, who are you?
I'm just giving you my side. Listen to me, right? This is what happened to me and to where I am now. So all this is now taking place. And one day the light just turned on in my head and I went, I'm going to just embrace what the hell's going on. I'm just going to embrace it. And he came round and he just looked at me and said, I can't see you. It's like you don't want to see me anymore. And I was not having the conversation with him. I was having the conversation by myself. I would then ring my friend and she kept saying, he's nice and what's going on? 3-4 years and and through lockdown, I'm like, right, you got to go. I want to end it. I want you to go. I'm being serious. I need you to go. I just don't talk to me. Leave me alone. And it took 8 months just recently, because now I'm like, this sweat ain't funny. I looked at 2019. I've got none of this. I've got nothing. And I'm hating it. I'm now not liking myself. I'm really hating myself. But this is a conversation I'm having with my girlfriend, not with the guy. It took me till February this year to be honest and turn around and I said, he said, I don't understand why I can't see you. And what I said to him is, do you know what? No matter how much I tell you to, excuse my French, piss off, you're still here. No matter how much I don't pick up the phone and I don't call you, I will go months and I'm not calling, weeks and I'm not calling you. What man does that, you know? But he actually kept saying, why is it I have to keep trying to find you? Why am I chasing? Why? And so when he came and I sat down, I went to the other side of the room. And I'm, you know, I've still made myself look nice. And he went, wow, your legs are really thick. I said, oh, that's COVID. But it wasn't. It's where but what he then said, you look so much better. You look so much shapely. He goes, oh my God. But even though he's telling me that, it wasn't good enough. And all I heard myself was, I could feel myself welling up. He's never seen me show much emotion, to be fair. And for the first time, I was able to, I took a deep breath and I remember lying back on my sofa and I went, I've purposely been avoiding you because I don't like who I've become. And he went, what? He goes, you're sexy Valerie. And I went, no, you've been calling me that for so long. Sexy Valerie doesn't feel like sexy Valerie. And I said, I've avoided you purposely. I cannot believe I'm saying this on bloody flipping cyber world. Oh my days. But anyway, standing in my truth, I'm going to stand in my truth. And I came clean. I said, I don't know who I am. I've got brain. All of a sudden, I am having to really put things down, which I've got photographic memory. I can remember things like that. All of a sudden, I'm like, did I? Really? I'm a bit more short. I'm curt, and he's younger than me. So to me, I'm thinking, you ain't going to understand what I'm going through. What would you know? And so I spent that night, took an hour and a bit, rather than him coming and chatting rubbish. I then just poured my heart out. And I just said, I don't feel sexy. I'm not sure what's going on. But I didn't use the word menopause. I just said, my body's changing. Everything about me is changing. And as you know, I am older than you. And really and truly. And he just said, I have a mum, you know. I was like that. He just said, I've got a mum, you know. And I said, okay. I said, it's very embarrassing for me to talk about this. And I said as much as I could say, which was, I don't feel sexual. I don't know why I don't feel sexual. It's not like me. You know, I said, you know, I can throw this down. And I was trying to give it all the big one. And I just didn't feel like that anymore. And I'm not even at the end of the menopause. You know what I mean? I have got my, you know, my periods, but it's one dry. It's coming to that one last bit. And I'm trying to prolong it. Right. And then I thought, I can't. I need to embrace where I am. Stop thinking I'm young and stop thinking that it's an age thing. Stop, just be myself. And when it comes to the full menopause, I am there. At one point, I had friends who thought I was bipolar because I was acting erratic. And I don't care if they watch this back, because I feel that they're out of order. They watch me go from an emotional wreck, crying. I stopped drinking 3 years ago, but I was just I was just emotional. You said boo, I cried. You said that, I cried. I cut relationships. I stopped talking to people, and I couldn't figure out what it was. Lockdown has allowed me to look at myself as a human being for the first time ever in my life, and look at the changes within myself, the things that I cannot change now, but I'm going to embrace because this is where I'm at, and I should be grateful for. I was able, as embarrassed as I was, to tell a man who was younger than me, I don't feel sexual, in knowing that he could leave me, but I didn't care if he did, because the way I see it is, damn, I'm beautiful. And so if you go, I will find someone who's going to appreciate me, because I would tell them this is where I'm at. And he stayed. He hasn't gone anywhere. So what I'm trying, but I still am suffering with that bit of lack of confidence. So I'm saying this for everybody else out there, not so much. I'm just giving you my story. Do you know what I mean? It's, as I said, it's no point me sitting here asking all these questions and acting like I don't know, when in fact I actually do. So I'm going to stand in my own truth and tell you that it's painful. And I've learned so much from you, Lauren. I've learned a copious amount from you, Jay, and from Leisha. The openness that I have allowed myself to be open, where others aren't prepared to do that. Women need to be a lot more open with yourselves, because you're only going to have anxiety. You will have a panic attack. You will have self-loathing. And if you're going to self-loathe yourself, you're going to hate other women who are younger and looking great.
Yeah.
You're going to hate other women who have lost weight or they're coping better than you. But you don't know their journey. You have no clue what they're going through. And until we start speaking, we're going to be left in this trough. And I find that the older generation before me don't speak. Majority do not speak. And Lauren, I don't know so much about the white people. Black people don't talk. They hide. They hide from relationships. They hide from the baby daddies. They hide everything. They're quick to gossip, but when it comes to the affairs of the heart, they do not talk about it, because it has been a taboo subject for so long. So this is me talking from my side of the fence. And when you've now got women open enough to come to you, Jennifer, to talk about their, I've got a dry vagina. Who the hell wants to talk about they've got a dry pum pum? Come on now. Right? Sorry to put it so harshly. Who the hell wants to do that? I wouldn't want people to know that. But unfortunately, that's what's going to happen to you in menopause. Whether you're 28, whether you're 32, whether you've had hysterectomy, whether you've had, cancer, this is what happens. So people need to understand, you don't get to 40 and 50 thinking it's old. It happens at any time of an operation.
Yeah.
It could be a defect with your kidney. It could be a defect with your liver. Your estrogen levels are the things that govern your kidneys, your urine, your bladder. So this is my input after listening into you guys and my experience standing in my truth. So I'm hoping to cover so much more. I'm going to come to the end, and I just want you guys to, for the people that have been patiently, we've been here for 2 hours, would you believe? Patiently, yeah, I know, and we could go on forever. I'd still, dietary changes. You guys have got wonderful pages of herbals. There's things like dietary changes that you can imply. I've put it up on the screen. Guys, am I right? Is this something that people should now add into their diet, which is like whole high fiber foods, having avocados, which is good fat, nuts and seeds? Because in there, it says things like nuts and seeds, and there's people who's got diverticulitis. Because women that go into menopause also, and you get older, end up with which is something that I don't know if you've come across that. I have diverticulitis, and I've had it from my early 40s. Actually, I've had it from I'm 35. So it's similar to a bit like Crohn's. So nuts and seeds is something very difficult to pass within my intestines.
It depends. Sorry, Lauren. I was just saying, with nuts and seeds, if you've soaked them, there's certain acids in certain nuts and seeds that if you soak them overnight, you release those acids, and they're usually what causes the digestive disorder. So if you do that, and there's a phenomenal brand, I've just bought a load because I'm about to do the National 3 Peaks Challenge. I'm taking it with me.
That'd be great, yeah. That'd be good.
I tell you what, while you guys carry on chatting, I will go and get a pack and I'll show you. But they're great because they're flavored, and there's a really good, rich, vibrant source of nuts and seeds in there, but they've been soaked and flavored so that they're all natural. And then you don't get that digestive kickback from them as well. So, yeah, I will go and find some for you.
Yeah, if you can find that, that'd be amazing. Jennifer, as I was saying to you, there's people that they, like exercises. They're saying things like, so apart from, you've got this down to a T with all the herbalists, and I will be coming to you. So anybody that wants to find out a bit more, again, from Leisha and from yourself, it's you have a website, which is, Herbalist in the Hood, is to come to you, get a consultation from you, because people don't realize that you can heal yourself from the land. It doesn't have to be pharmaceutical. One thing I did find online, which was what someone said, what are boundaries? Boundless. What is that?
Nuts and seeds. I got them online.
Yeah. And nuts and seeds, are they already crushed?
They're not crushed, but they're been soaked. Sorry, go on.
No, that's just what you were saying, Lauren. They're soaked.
Yeah, they've been soaked, so they release that. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's an enzyme in the nuts that when you soak them overnight, because if you make rice and peas, that's why we soak we soak the peas overnight, because there's an enzyme. When you look at the water, all the water's kind of fizzy looking. You throw off that water, and then we make the rice and peas with another set of water. But there's a certain enzyme in there that it needs to come up after you soaked it.
Beautiful. Another tip for anybody else out there who can't absorb nuts and things like that, but it's very good for your dietary, is someone said it was to get the coffee grinder. And you get pumpkin seed. You can also get flaxseed powder, because that's what I got, flaxseed powder. But they said the flaxseed powder, linseed, and pumpkin seeds are one of the best phytoestrogen?
Phytoestrogens.
They're the 3 best phytoestrogens that you can use.
They're not the 3 of the best. There's better ones. There's higher in density ones than those. And linseed and flaxseed is the same thing.
Right. Okay. You see, I know flaxseed. And
it's called linseed or flaxseed. It's either one, but it's the same thing. And there are herbs that are more phytoestrogenic than what you've just mentioned, than pumpkin seeds.
I want to write what you guys have, because we're coming near to the end, just to put in the room. All my foods have to be chlorophyll, kale, green, nuts. Absolutely. Anything green, kale, green from the soil, nuts. She said, I'm addicted, and pickled onions and Leisha, you're nuts. She goes, pickled onions and exercise. But before we get to the end, I would like to put into the chat room for anybody who would like to reach out to Jennifer and to Lauren. I'm hoping I can copy this. Let me see if I can. Jennifer, can you just give me the link? Can you type it in the thingy room, in the private chat room? I'm about to put it into the messenger.
What's that, my website?
Yeah, so I've got it, but I'm going to put it in. So I put in here, folks. I'm hoping it's... let's see if it would allow me. I've put in the chat room for anyone that wants to know more. Here we go. So Jennifer is www.herbalistinthehood. I'm trying to put it in the chat room, folks. Hope you can get it. Yes, spirulina is another food that is very good to put in your diet. For anyone with, that's had weight loss, women of certain stage as well. So I'm going to chuck all of this in. Do you know what? We've had so many people. Right, okay. It's saying, right, okay. So many people have written in this. Would you believe it? It's unbelievable. Let me see if I can bring it up here at the side. Won't even let me. We've had, here we go. Hopefully I can get it in. But look, I'm going to put it at the end of here. I think I should be able to type back into the room. Hello, Miss Walters. There's a Betty Walters listening from Canada.
That's my sister.
Oh, hello, Betty.
Hey, sis. That's my sister.
Guys, we are coming to the end of all of this, and we've touched here. We got, we've talked about the low estrogen, the painful sex, lack of vaginal lubrication, the hot flushes, the breast tenderness. These are the things that you really need to look out for. Trouble concentration. It can lead to depression. That is one thing. These are the dietary changes. One thing I want to mention also that I was told is quite good for the menopause is intermittent fasting. Can you guys shed just a little slight light on that? Do you agree? Because I can see Lauren shaking her head. Why? Please tell me.
There's 2 schools of thought on this. So because your estrogen receptor sites need to be filled up every kind of 4 to 6 hours to keep things in balance, then if you go for 14, 16 hours without eating, you're throwing that out of whack, plus you're putting your blood sugar out of whack as well. And that can have a knock-on effect. However, when I've done cleanses with my clients, there are some women who benefit from doing intermittent fasting, and it works for them. So this goes back to making sure that you personalize your solution, because for some women, they will absolutely thrive by having their evening meal at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock and then not having anything again until midday the next day. And they absolutely thrive on that. And it works. Like yourself, some women thrive in keto, but for many women, they need the carbohydrate in their diet because of other factors. So I kind of shake my head, because logically, based on my nutritional training, we shouldn't allow our blood sugar to dip that much. However, the practicalities are the fact that for some, and actually for my, I didn't even, when I first started this debate, and I know you're trying to wrap up here.
No, just take your time, just go. Yeah.
I was like, oh no, I can't do intermittent fasting. Do you know what? I don't eat after 6 o'clock at night. I mean, I'm sitting here with bottles and bottles of water, right? But I don't eat after 5, 6 o'clock at night. And some days, if I'm up and training, it will be 10, 11 o'clock before I have something to eat, because that's when my body wants the food. Okay. So actually using my own body as an experimental chamber, if you like, that's just at this moment in time, that's what's working for me. It would not have worked for me while I was going through menopause. I was eating like a fiend. I mean, I was like a stone lighter than I am now, and I'm not heavy. You know, but I was super fit and I could eat as much as I wanted to. Yeah. But I was burning it off through when I'm stressed and when I'm training, I just burn it off.
Yeah.
But I'm content and I'm happy and I've filled out and I'm the weight I'm meant to be right now. I'm the shape I'm meant to be. Would I choose it? Not necessarily, but you know, I've got it and I'm at peace with that now. It's taken time. So I think that it is just about individualizing the right, helping women to identify. And I'm less focused on what people eat. I'm more focused on when and how people eat.
Okay.
How you eat is really super important, as well as what you eat.
So people need more of what they're eating and understanding the intermittent fasting. Does it work for you? Is it the right thing that works for your body? You know, because it's not everyone, and you need to understand if you're ecto or is it endo, yeah, because there's different body shapes for it. So before I've already put into the chat room. Jay is www.herbalistinthehood.co.uk, and Lauren is womenofcertainstage.com. So for everyone that joined the show today, everything that we've spoken about is on these sites. Now, one question is Miss Sugar has been asking all night, and she's been quite vocal, to be fair. So do you think that not having sex brings on menopause?
No.
Can anyone shed light on that, please?
No. Listen, menopause will happen to every single female at a certain point in their life. Menopause will happen to every woman, but not every woman will have menopausal symptoms. So, and sex really hasn't got anything to really do with menopause, because even after menopause you can still have sex. But your diet is paramount to keeping the smooth muscle, the mucosal lining inside the body wet, not dry, not drying out, not your ligaments getting dry. Ligaments and your tendons and all of those, they're all related to the liver. So if you've got a weak tendons, a weak bladder, things like that, all tendons in TCM, which is traditional Chinese medicine, is related to the liver. Hot flushes is the liver, the kidneys, the spleen. Those need to be sorted out. The heart gets hot, then the liver gets hot because it's congested and it's stagnant. It can't move, it can't do what it has to do. It gives off heat. Heart starts to give off heat. All of those organs that control temperature, when they're getting hot, you need the kidneys, which is water in Chinese medicine. It's related to water, to cool all of that down. But because the kidneys aren't working, the liver's blocked up and congested. All of that stuff is not working. There's no digestive fire. So all of these things come into play. That's why you need to know what your diet's like, what's going on with what you eat, what you drink. Everything has a play, because these symptoms have been there, and a lot of them have been hidden by our periods. Because when you come to this side of life, the estrogen is still there in small amounts in the adrenal glands. But because the adrenal glands, they're exhausted, aren't they? They keep constantly pumping out cortisol to deal with the stress. So there's not enough estrogen to keep us ticking over into menopause, where we can have a fantastic time. So we have to do something about our adrenals. We have to take adrenal herbs, kidney herbs, liver herbs, heart herbs. And what the herbs do, they just put the body back in balance. Yeah. And then they're gone. The herbs don't make you their slave like some of these medicines. Herbs just want to do their job. Them and the body, they've had a relationship for eons of times. Herbs knows the body knows herbs. Once it goes in, does its job, then that's it. As long as you don't go back into the same eating of the same types of foodstuffs, because they're not food, they're foodstuffs, then you shouldn't really get a repeat of those conditions. Yeah. So there's a lot of learning that needs to be unlearned. Yeah. And there's a lot of food that people need to know what foods, because I've got ladies on my cleanses, and after 3 days they want to eat carbs, and they want to, and it's only a short period of time that they need to cleanse. Yeah. And they're having a hard time doing it. So I have to be there to kind of encourage them and keep them on board. Only 7 days, just to, because some of the times you've got to clear stuff out so the herbs can do their job.
Can I just say, because Miss Sugar keeps going on about the sex, I don't know if you lot can read that just before we go. She says, I believe not having sex tells the brain nothing is going on. Not necessarily. And she says, everyone is different, but you're right. Do your own research, Miss Sugar. Absolutely do your own.
I don't know what
research.
She means. I believe not
saying that, that I believe not having sex tells the brain nothing is going on, and and we are done. And I'm going to do my own research. Everyone is different. So I think what I'm getting from that is that, because she's mentioned sex a few times.
Yeah.
So I know she's had 5 children from what she's saying.
Yeah.
So if you're not being out, I think she's also mentioned she's not had sex for 3 years. So I think that's something that you may need to, unless she's messing about, I think that's something that you're just going to have that conversation with your partner. And if you're not feeling like sexual, you're either not feeling your partner and you need to let him go, or there's something that you're not addressing within yourself, why you're not feeling sexual.
But sex starts in the brain.
It does.
It's a mental thing first, because any one of us can start thinking sexual thoughts and turn ourselves on. It's all up in the head. Yeah. And then it comes into the body.
That's it. So hopefully you get that, Miss Sugar. I believe not having sex tells the brain that nothing is going on. Of course, it doesn't. It's you have to tell your brain. I get you. Yeah, I think there's a lot more going on there, but and I love every comment that you've made in there today, Miss Sugar. Every single one. So, and I love your participation. Ladies, can I just say, it has been fruitful. Totally fruitful, and I can't put hearts up, so I'm going to throw a lot of hearts up for myself to you guys. Hearts, nerves. You're right. No, I'm just being open to all angles. You're absolutely right, and that's what we love hearing from you. Doesn't mean that what you're saying is wrong, Miss Sugar. I like what you're putting out there, because it's food for thought, and I hope that we've answered, or the experts in the room has answered everything for you today. Please remember this, folks. As I said, we've already talked about this. If you don't understand, research and reach out. You've got 2 lovely ladies here. Yes, there's a copious amount of women. There's copious amount of videos on YouTube that you can listen to. Sometimes there are people might give you conflicting information. Just listen to what you feel is right. I think if you listen to 4 people and the 4 people are saying the same thing, then the 4 people are right. But if people are saying one here and the other way, then keep looking. But the main thing is be in tune with yourself.
Yeah.
Be in tune with yourself and try. Yeah, I'm 52. Love the info. You. Thank you, Miss Sugar. And we love all the things that you're saying yourself. Herbs, plant-based, vegan-based. It doesn't have to be vegan, but it is plant-based. Estrogen, low estrogen can start at any time. I'm going to say this over and over and over again. The next subject I will be covering on this is male menopause. So I need the men to understand that you need to understand, talk to your women. If you think that they're just throwing their toys out the window, thanks, Tash. I've put it in there. Thank you for putting it again. Mummy T, hello, my lovely. Blessings as always, my empress. Thank you to everyone that's tuned in and anyone on the replay that listens back to this again. We hope that these ladies imparted knowledge and you'll enjoy the conversation that we had. We all stood in our truth. Everybody has talked about their own personal experience. Yes, we could sit here and talk all day long because I am a conversationalist. But the main thing is, let's do this again. Let's do the men. If you guys are up on the men, I would love to do this. Let's throw that in the mix. What day is it today? Today's the 20th of May. Let's go 3 weeks from now. Let's come back and let's do male menopause. And we'll make sure we bring a man in.
Andropause. Yeah.
Andropause.
Let's get the male men in so that women can see from the male perspective how they deal with it. Please be open. If you're single and you feel that life is going to pass you by and you can't, if you love yourself first, put all the good things in. When you do go out there and decide to date again, that man will be receptive to you. I would tell you this, he will be. And if he's not, he ain't supposed to be with you. He's not ready for you. He's not grown. He's not understand, but make him understand. If he leaves you, leave him, impart him with knowledge to take on somebody else and understand. It is our job to make sure that the women of the next generation don't falter by the sideways like some of us had. And on that note, I want to say good night to you, Lauren. I'm hoping that you're going to be through in 3 weeks' time. And good night to you, my wonderful Jay. I hope you're going to be free in 3 weeks' time. Leisha was in the room, but I know she had to jump off again. But Andropause, and we're going to get a male guy in the mix.
Please.
2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
That's the aim. We're going to do 3 weeks from now, roughly around the 17th or the 18th of June. Be right back here to talk about male menopause. Ladies, good night. God bless you. I'm going to say good night to you, and then I'm going to put you in the green room and quickly say bye to everybody, and I'll come back to you. Please don't go. Here we go. Please put some hearts up in the room for these wonderful, wonderful ladies. Any information you want to know, please drop me. Go on to standinginmytruth.co.uk, and there's a box that you can write in and say, I need more info. These ladies are well renowned in their field, and I am honored to have had them today. Good night. Good night. Good night. Whew. Do you know what? That was the longest show I've ever done. But it was worth it. I don't even know if YouTube has still even got it because it is that long. It has been, I didn't even cover half of the subjects I wanted to cover. But the main thing was menopause is at any time. You don't have to have children. Maybe you don't have children. I'm still putting up the great ladies. Yes, thank you. Thank you. I am bowing to everybody that offered opinions in the chat room. These shows cannot work without you people and your participation. The wonderful people that come on to impart their knowledge. These are women that are renowned around the, in the UK and some around the world. And they've taken their time to come for free to impart knowledge. And for me, I am grateful for that. End of the show. Thank you so much. We'll see you back here. I mean, I'm back here next week talking about autism. And the week after, I'll be talking about lupus and sickle cell. Yes, we are covering the next subject, which is lupus and sickle cell on the 3rd of June. Hopefully next week, we will be doing part 2 of Living with Autism, where we will be having the lovely Maxine Winter, who is actually, lives with autism and she's going to come and talk to you about living with autism. I have a 14-year-old that's going to be joining me, talking. Look at me sweating, living with autism. But the only thing I want to say to you is stand in your truth and love yourself. And don't feel suicidal. Let me wipe the sweat. I'm getting there. Can you believe it? Good night, everybody. God bless.